Hagrid looked at Harry with warmth and respect blazing in his eyes, but Harry, instead of feeling pleased and proud, felt quite sure there had been a horrible mistake. A wizard? Him? How could he possibly be? He spent his life being clouted by Dudley and bullied by Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon. If he was really a wizard, why hadn't they been turned into a warty toads every time they tried to lock him in his cupboard? If he'd once defeated the greatest sorcerer in the world, how come Dudley had always been able to kick him around like football? Hagrid, he said quietly, I think you've made a mistake. I don't think I can be a wizard. To his surprise, Hagrid chuckled. Not a wizard, eh? Never made things happen when you was scared or angry? Harry looked into the fire. Now he came to think about it. Every odd thing that he had ever made his aunt and uncle furious with him had happened when Harry had been angry or upset. Chased by Dudley's gang, he had somehow found himself out of their reach, dreading going to school with that ridiculous haircut. He'd managed to grow it back, and the very last time Dudley had hit him, hadn't he got his revenge without even realising he was doing it? Hadn't he set a boa constrictor on him? Harry looked back at Hagrid smiling and saw that Hagrid was positively beaming at him. See? Said Hagrid. Harry Potter, not a wizard. You wait, you'll be a famous, right, at Hogwarts? But Uncle Vernon wasn't going to give in without a fight. Haven't I told you he's not going, he hissed. He's going to Stonewall High and he'll be grateful for it. I've read those letters and all he needs is sorts of rubbish spell books and wands, and if he wants to go, a great muzzle like you will stop him, growled Hagrid. Stop Lily and James Potter's son going to Hogwarts? You're mad. His name's been down ever since he was born. He's off to the finest school of witchcraft and wizardry in the world. 7 years there and he won't know himself. He'll be the youngsters of the own sort for a change, and he'll be under the greatest headmaster of Hogwarts ever had, Albus Dumbledore. I'm not paying for some crackpot old fool to teach him magic tricks, yelled Uncle Vernon. But he had finally gone too far. Hagrid seized his umbrella and whirled it over his head. Never, he thundered, insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me. He brought the umbrella swishing down through the air to point at Dudley. There was a flash of violet light like a sound of firecracker. Sharp squeal, and a second later, Dudley was dancing round on the spot with his hands clasped over his fat bottom, howling in pain. When he turned his back on them, Harry saw a curly pig's tail poking through the hole in his trousers. Uncle Vernon roared. Pulling Aunt Petunia and Dudley into the other room, he cast one last terrified look at Hagrid and slammed the door behind them. Hagrid looked down at his umbrella and stroked his beard. Shouldn't have lost my temper, he said ruefully. But it didn't work anyway. Meant to turn him into a pig, but I suppose he was so much like a pig anyway, there wasn't much left to do. He cast a sideways look at Harry under his bushy eyebrows. Be grateful if you didn't mention to anyone at Hogwarts, he said. I'm not supposed to do magic, strictly speaking. I was allowed to do a bit to follow, and get letters to you and stuff. One of the reasons I was keen to take on the job. Weren't you supposed to do magic? Asked Harry. Oh, well, I was at Hogwarts myself, but I got expelled, to tell you the truth, in my 3rd year. They snapped me wand in half and everything, but Dumbledore let me stay on as gamekeeper. Great man, Dumbledore. Why were you expelled? It's getting late and we've got to do things tomorrow, said Hagrid loudly. Gotta get up to town and get all your books and that. He took off his thick black coat and threw it into Harry. You can kip under that, he said. Don't mind if it wriggles a bit. I think I've still got a couple of dormice in one of my pockets. Chapter 5, Diagon Alley. Harry woke the next morning. Although he could tell it was still daylight, he kept his eyes shut tight. It was a dream, he told himself firmly. I dreamt a giant wizard called Hagrid came to tell me that I was going to a school for wizards. When I open my eyes, I'll be at home in my cupboard. There was suddenly a loud tapping noise, and there's Aunt Petunia knocking on the door. Harry thought, his heart sinking, but he still didn't open his eyes. It'd been such a good dream. Tap, tap, tap. All right, Harry mumbled. I'm getting up. He sat up, and Hagrid's heavy coat fell off him. The hut was full of sunlight. The storm was over. Hagrid himself was asleep on the collapsed sofa, and there was an owl rapping its claw on the window, a newspaper held in its beak. Harry scrambled to his feet, so happy he felt as though a large balloon was swelling inside him. He went straight to the window and jerked it open. The owl swooped in and dropped the newspaper on top of Hagrid, who didn't wake at all. The owl then fluttered onto the floor and began to attack Hagrid's coat. "Don't do that!" Harry tried to wave the owl out of the way, but it snapped its beak fiercely at him, carried on savaging the coat. "Hagrid!" said Harry loudly. "There's an owl! Pay him!" Hagrid grunted into the sofa. "What?" "He wants paying for delivering the paper. Look in the pockets." Hagrid's coat seemed to be made of nothing but pockets. Bunches of keys, slug pellets, balls of string, mint humbugs, tea bags. Finally, Harry pulled out a handful of strange-looking coins. "Give him 5 knuts," said Hagrid sleepily. "Knuts?" "The little bronze ones." Harry counted out 5 little bronze coins, and the owl held out its legs so he could put out the money into a small leather pouch, tied it to it. Then it flew off through the open window. Hagrid yawned loudly, sat up and stretched. "Best be off. Harry, lots to do today. Gotta go up to London and buy all your stuff for school." Harry was turning over the wizard coins and looking at them. He had just thought of something which made him feel as though the happy balloon inside him had got a puncture. Hagrid," said Hagrid, who was pulling over his huge boots. "I haven't got any money." "And you heard Uncle Vernon last night. He won't pay for me to go to learn magic." "Don't worry about that," said Hagrid, standing up and scratching his head. "Do you think your parents didn't leave you anything?" "But if their house was destroyed?" "They didn't keep their gold in the house, boy. Nah, first stop for us is Gringotts Wizard's Bank. Have a sausage. They're not bad and cold, and I wouldn't say no to a bit of yesterday's birthday cake neither." "Wizards have banks?" "Just the one. Gringotts, run by goblins." Harry dropped the bit of sausage he was holding. "Goblins?" "Yeah, so you'd be mad to try and rob it. I'll tell you that. Never mess with goblins, Harry. Gringotts is the safest place in the world for anything you want to keep safe. Except maybe Hogwarts. As a matter of fact, I got to visit Gringotts anyway for Dumbledore. Hogwarts business." Hagrid drew himself up proudly. "He usually gets me to do important stuff for him. Fetching you, getting things from Gringotts. Knows he can trust me, see? Got everything? Come on then." Harry followed Hagrid out of the rock. The sky was quite clear now, and the sea gleamed in the sunlight. The boat Uncle Vernon had hired was still there, with a lot of water in the bottom after the storm. "How did you get here?" Harry asked, looking around for another boat. "Flew," said Hagrid. "Flew?" "Yeah, but we'll go back in this. Not supposed to use magic now I've got you." They settled down in the boat, Harry still staring at Hagrid, trying to imagine him flying. "Seems a shame to row, though," said Hagrid, giving Harry another of his sideways looks. "If I was to speed things up a bit, would you mind not mentioning it at Hogwarts?" "Of course not," said Harry, eager to see more magic. Hagrid pulled out a pink umbrella again, tapped it twice on the side of the boat, and they sped off towards land. "Why, you'd be mad to try and rob Gringotts?" Harry asked. "Spells, enchantments," said Hagrid, unfolding his newspaper as he spoke. "They say there's dragons guarding the high security vaults, and they gotta find your way up. Gringotts is hundreds of miles under London, see? Deep under the underground. You'd die of hunger trying to get out there, even if you did manage to get out hands on summit." Harry sat down and thought of this while Hagrid read his newspaper, The Daily Prophet. Harry had learnt from Uncle Vernon that people liked to be left alone while they did this, but it was very difficult. He'd never had so many questions in his life. "Ministry of Magic messing things up as usual," Hagrid muttered, turning the page. "There's a Ministry of Magic?" Harry asked before he could stop himself. "Course," said Hagrid. "They wanted Dumbledore for minister, of course, but he never left Hogwarts, so old Cornelius Fudge got the job. Bungler, if there ever was one, so he pelts Dumbledore with owls every morning asking for advice." "And what does the Ministry of Magic do?" "Well, their main job is to keep from the muggles, and that's still witches and wizards up and down the country." "Why?" "Why? Blimey, Harry. Ever anyone been wanting magic solutions to do their problems? Nah, we're best left alone. At this moment, the boat blumped gently into the harbour wall. Hagrid folded up his newspaper and they clambered up the stone steps onto the street. Passers-by stared a lot at Hagrid as they walked through the little town to the station. Harry couldn't blame them. Not only was Hagrid twice as tall as anyone else, but he kept pointing at perfectly ordinary things like parking meters and saying loudly, "See that, Harry? Things like these muggles dream up, eh?" "Hagrid," said Harry, panting as he ran to keep up. "Did you say there were dragons at Gringotts?" "Well, so they say," said Hagrid. "Crikey, I'd like a dragon." "You'd like one?" "Wanted one ever since I was a kid. Here we go." They'd reached the station. There was a train in the London in 5 minutes' time. Hagrid, who didn't understand Muggle money, as he called it, gave the notes to Harry so he could buy their tickets. People stared more than ever on the train. Hagrid took up 2 seats and sat knitting what looked like a canary yellow circus tent. "Still got your letter, Harry?" he asked as he counted stitches. Harry took the parchment envelope out of his pocket. "Good," said Hagrid. "There's a list of everything you need." Harry unfolded a second piece of paper he hadn't noticed the night before and read Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Uniform. First year students will require 1. 3 sets of plain work robes, black. 2. 1 plain potted hat, black for everyday wear. 3. 1 pair of protective gloves, dragonhide or similar. 4. 1 winter cloak, black, silver fastenings. Please note that all pupils' clothes should carry name tags. Set books. All students should have a copy of each of the following: The Standard Book of Spells, Grade 1 by Miranda Goshawk, A History of Magic by Bathilda Bagshot, Magical Theory by Albert Waffling, A Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration by Emmerich Switch, 1000 Magical Herbs and Fungi by Phillida Spore, Magical Draughts and Potions by Arsonist Jigger, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scamander, The Dark Forces, A Guide to Self-Protection by Quentin Trimble. Other equipment: 1 wand, 1 cauldron pewter, standard size 2, 1 set of glass crystal, fierce, 1 telescope, 1 set of brass scales. Students may also bring an owl or a cat or a toad. Parents are reminded that first years are not allowed their own broomsticks. "Can we buy this all in London?" Harry wondered aloud. "If you know where to go," said Hagrid. Bye guys, that will be it for this week, and I'll be back for next week with some more magic reading. Bye bye!